I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 43 of Playing from the Tips, the preview and tipping show presented by Golf Australia magazine to get you up to speed and in the know on all things professional golf from around the world. I'm your host, Jimmy Emanuel, trying to inspire a few tired players towards the end of the season as we look to put some more results on the board before we put away the clubs/microphones for Christmas. Our destinations this week, America, Victoria, and South Africa. Those players/podcasters in need of inspiration start with a man who we are going to dispense with the usual attempt at humour and instead congratulate on adding to his career haul of Australian Golf Media Association awards. I speak, of course, of Rod Morri. Welcome and congratulations, Rod.
Thank you, mate. Don't embarrass me. That's enough, thank you.
How many is he chasing Tiger's records for?
Bruce Young's the man to catch, isn't he? Was he on 14? I think he told
Bruce Young's on 14. He's one behind Tiger.
Yeah. I think he'll get there. Winner of the Peter
Tiger's
Thompson.
Worried about Bruce too, I've heard.
Indeed.
Next, and the other voice you can hear is someone who didn't feature in those awards, but was a hot topic of conversation all Australian Open week as everyone would wait to assess his daily look and for his Sunday high rolling in the hospitality suites. What happened to you, Adrian Logue? You used to be a man of the people.
Yeah, class trader.
I'd just like to class things up a little bit.
I don't think your attendance in the Hander tent classed things up, if I could put it that way. Sure, it's a step up for you.
And I would agree wholeheartedly, Rod.
Step up for you.
Anything, it brought it down. It brought
exactly
the tone down.
Indeed. We're just jealous.
Before we move ahead, as always, let's chat a little last week. And any highlights, particularly from anyone on last week's golf?
Oh, what a week at the Australian Open. It's been a long time. In fact, both the PGA and the Open, and put a lot of this down to Minwoo. We haven't seen it for a long time. This kid has it, and it creates interest. And both of those tournaments were fantastic. There was a whole bunch of other storylines supporting, which is really important, but he drove this very short summer of golf that we now have, Minwoo, with some play that stood up to his social media presence in the last 12 months.
He has it and he's using it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not afraid of it. At some point, it's going to backfire a bit. We know that because you can't be that outgoing and not at some point get knocked down. But honestly, for the moment, he's riding the wave. And I mean, he'd be disappointed not to have won the Australian Open. He was kind of his. He would have felt he had it in his hands on Saturday night. But put that aside, haven't seen crowds like that and felt electricity like that possibly since the days of the Shark in Australia.
I agree completely. He was so impressive. He was clearly gassed come Saturday. He finished Saturday's round and he's got nothing left in the tank here. And he still nearly got it done, which was probably the most impressive thing. I mean, he was struggling on Sunday with his game a little bit and he still was right in the mix. So that was pretty impressive stuff.
And the ultimate showman, Jimmy, I sort of picked up on this. The real showman in the game, it's not just their play. Calling for a ruling on the 72nd hole when you've got a chance to do the Dr. Chipinski and force a playoff. That whole rulings are normally pretty uninteresting that late in a tournament, but that one was just edge of your seat stuff, wasn't it? Is he going to get the drop? Where's he going to drop it? How's he going to?
Is the ball in play?
Exactly. He milked it. He drew it out. He did everything you need to do. He's got the gift.
There's something about owning your space.
Yeah, very much.
Like and during that ruling, he really owned that space around him. It was like, all the attention's on me. I'm going to take the time that I deserve. Yeah. It's the same sort of vibe you got from Spieth at Birkdale.
At Birkdale, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good call. So, really exciting. And that's good. Minwoo's going to be a thing for a long time, globally, not just in Australia. We're lucky to have him.
I think the amazing sister was also pretty impressive come Sunday.
Very impressive.
Again, clearly didn't have it and thought, I'm going to rip in here and go close. That was fantastic. But Ash Buhai was also incredibly impressive.
Nice.
And to not have two Australian winners, but have two people who then said, this has been so much fun. I've loved this country. I've loved this event. Is kind of almost very close to a perfect result. And
those players go back, Jimmy, and they talk to other players on the PGA Tour and the LPGA and
the Live Tour.
Yeah, and the Live Tour. That's exactly right.
Tour,
a couple of big Live winners, and that all works in the favour of Australia. We need every bit of help we can get. Money is not going to be our draw card, possibly ever here in Australia. So we've got to have other stuff to draw players here.
Joaquin Neiman instantly in the presentation said, "I'll see you next year." And Ash Buhai said to me, "Where do I file a passport application?" Like that's the best sort of thing we like. So,
in fairness, all those things get rubbery once schedules come out and we find out what's on it. Let's not put too much in it, but yeah, in the moment, absolutely.
I'm not taking Neiman's commitment as rolled gold. He's not on the entry list yet.
No.
On last week, and our group was back in tipping form. 7 top 10s and a win in the account for Rod, who no doubt watched every one of Scotty Scheffler's putts bury in the hole at the Hero World Challenge. Yeah. Those results take us to 202 top 10s for the year, 30 wins, and based off absolutely no research, I'm going to go ahead and say that we are the only Australian golf podcast with those sort of numbers. Agreed?
Agreed.
And it'll prove we've got listeners if someone disagrees.
There's some good numbers.
Yeah, they are good numbers.
Good numbers, Jimmy.
They are. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Rod. Thanks,
Put that up on the PowerPoint at the end of the year and...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
That might win Rod another award. Those numbers right there.
Is that the KPI? Are we into the KPI territory yet?
Absolutely.
Let's get on
we'll
with
go back to Brendan James and prove our worth with our numbers. Moving on to this week's golf, and a very brief mention to the first event that will be underway when most listen to this podcast, and that is the 2-day Cathedral Invitational at Cathedral Lodge in Thornton, Victoria, where I currently find myself. Cathedral Lodge is, of course, David Evans' sort of private golf club he built a few years back with this golf tournament also in mind. It's a couple hours north of Melbourne. It is a beautiful place. Rolling. It's literally built among rolling hills. As you drive in, you can't actually see the golf course. Greg Norman designed the golf course. There's lakes that sort of cut, not lakes, I shouldn't say, creeks that cut through. Really nice bunkering. I believe members actually buy a bunker, and you then have rights within that bunker to make other members do things like when they go in there. So interesting little strategy.
Yeah.
But it's a very different kind of golf course than the golf course we talk about a lot on these sort of podcasts, but it is a pretty special place and it's a pretty special field. Adam Scott, Cam Smith, Mark Leishman, David Micheluzzi, Jeff Ogilvy, Grace Kim, Sarah Jane Smith. It goes on and on. They play the first day as a pro member, which will be Tuesday. So all the members go out with a pro, and it's actually the pros count. The score counts towards the tournament. And then the next day, Wednesday, is just the pros. It's open to the public to come in and actually get a chance to look at the golf course if they don't get a chance otherwise, and also see these guys up close in a pretty intimate environment. So an interesting, different kind of event, but it's one that people get excited about. I'm looking forward to it. I've not been up here for it before. So yeah, it's a different one, but an exciting week nonetheless.
It's has it got a couple of things. Firstly, imagine being in the position in life where you both decide and then go ahead and build your own golf course. Mm-hmm. Like that's you've done okay if you're at that point. Too, Jimmy, I know you're not at the course yet, but any sort of thoughts about the vibe? You would assume this is going to be a somewhat more relaxed atmosphere than the Australian Open last week. These guys like to compete, but this is a much less important tournament in terms of sort of the winning and the scores and whatnot. I would imagine you see some good stuff this week.
Absolutely. I was out there yesterday. I flew straight down from the Australian Open. I was out there yesterday, and people are out there doing practice rounds and practicing, but it's a very casual atmosphere. Yeah. They're out playing their practice rounds with their members. They've gotten to know that they play the pro member with each year, which predates the Cathedral Invitational, the pro member.
Mm-hmm. In the long history of this golf course.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So they go out and they're all having a bit of fun. There was a function last night at the golf club that's just for the members and the players. It's all a bit hair down, relax, and have a good time. It's definitely a very different atmosphere. I was rattled when I first was sitting in the tour office working away, and Cam Smith arrived and he was saying hello to everyone. And he said, "Well, I'm sick of seeing you all the time over the last 3 weeks." So I was rattled. But
he makes a good point, though.
He does make a good point.
This could become it's what Coolum used to be for a lot of the Australian players. The PGA at Coolum was the last event of the year, and they had the village set up, and they all stayed in the village and had their kids and the pool and that sort of stuff. Not quite at the same level, but this might be that warm down tournament for a lot of these top players if they're going to be in Australia over Christmas. Go down here and have a couple of days of relaxed golf before you hang up the sticks for the year.
Absolutely. I think that's what it is at this stage. What it becomes, who knows? And credit to Matt Jager, who used to play on the Aussie Tour, won the Aussie Amateur and the New Zealand Amateur, who's the tournament director up here, and he's working very hard at putting this all together, and he deserves a lot of credit. Fantastic player in his time, Matt, but absolutely. He's really taken to the role and working very hard at it. So we'll get a tip for this. Why not? Why not say who's going to win and actually pad our numbers? Rod? I'm
going to go with Adam Scott. I mean, but for...
Out on a limb there.
Yeah, I know. What else are you going to do, really? But for, obviously, the 7th hole last week, which was his 15th. He had that tournament basically done and dusted. It was how many times has Adam Scott driven it out of bounds in his entire career?
Yeah.
And there was one at the old course a few years ago.
Pebble Beach as well. Yeah.
More than we'd think, maybe.
Yeah.
Based on that. Yeah, we've just recalled 3.
A couple more than you would think.
No.
When it counted.
Yeah. Okay, Cam Smith. I'm off Adam Scott.
You're off Adam?
Is there much out of bounds up there at Cathedral? He's got a real problem with out of bounds, Adam Scott. He can't seem to keep it on the golf course. No, I'll stick with Adam. He really did play beautifully last week.
He did also hit it out of bounds, of course, last year at the Australian Open.
He did, that's right.
When in contention. So your research is lacking depth, but that's okay.
He's sort of known for it.
Yeah, actually, the more I think about it, bloke needs to get rid of the driver and just hit 3-wood.
Yeah.
Logue, you got a thought for us here?
I was thinking about Cam Smith, but a thought occurred to me just back to last week for a sec. Cam Smith played with Min Woo for the first couple of rounds, and he had a ringside seat to what was going on there. Cam Smith, probably our biggest star, but completely overshadowed by Min Woo. And Cam himself probably would have observed that and thought to himself, I don't have that.
Yeah, that's not me.
And there's something about the tee to green play as well, like physically, that Cam would be going, I don't have that either. And I'm thinking to myself, that's going to be a bit of a blow for Cam. But what Cam does have is grit, and you never count him out. So I'm backing Cam Smith to come back, to complete his comeback after the low of the PGA a couple of weeks ago. I think last week was a stepping stone, and also he's the sort of golfer that would react to that experience of...
So the slump is over, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. He'll be,
it's over? It's official? You heard it here first?
The 1 week slump is now officially finished.
Yeah. 2-day tournament as well. You can string together 2 rounds, I think.
Yep. Yeah. I'm going to go with Mark Leishman, who has shown some serious golf over the last couple of days, and the relaxed atmosphere will suit Leash down to the ground, I think.
Maybe too much. Maybe too relaxed.
There could be a suspicion of too relaxed, I think, but I think he will get it done. But I'd also like to see Gabby Ruffles do something here this week.
Call. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
We've named every marquee player from that tournament. So,
pardon me?
We've named every marquee player from that list. The list on that.
Probably a couple more.
No, there's plenty more.
Yes. Next, let's go and have a look at the latest attempt at team golf in America and the mixed gender Grant Thornton Invitational. Logue, I can't wait to hear about Grant Thornton, the teams, and everything else.
Certainly, Jimmy. Grant Thornton, first of all, just to get that out of the way, Grant Thornton is one of America's largest audit, tax and advisory firms.
Of course they are.
And
of course someone has to be.
If that's not exciting enough... be aware that they strive to help businesses prosper across borders and achieve this by working together using their unique diversity and shared values to expand sustainable impact.
And paying professional golfers.
Which is absolute word salad. Their logo, we had some feedback last week, Jimmy, that
we did, yes.
We need to review more sponsors' logos.
Logo watch.
Agreed.
And the Grant Thornton logo is like just asinine in its banality. It's just a swirling vortex that looks like they got it done by some contractor on Airtasker. And
can I suggest that maybe Grant Thornton won't be asking for more logo watch?
No. And for the Grant Thornton Invitational, they've just stuck an invitational on the bottom of the standard Grant Thornton, banal logo. And there's a fetching shade of mauve is the That is the best thing I can say about it.
There's 4 words nobody ever expected to hear on a golf podcast. A fetching shade, of mauve. That's a T-shirt.
So
right there.
onto the tournament. It's a co-sanctioned event, the PGA Tour and the LPGA. 2 tours, 1 competition is the tagline of the event.
Make golf great again.
The LPGA and PGA Tour's best are teaming up in a new mixed team invitational where they'll compete for equal prize money of $4 million. Come see what golf can be. That's the catch cry. You excited about that, Jimmy?
Yeah, hugely.
Okay. It's played, if that's not exciting enough, I can tell you it's played at Tiburon, which is familiar tour stop. I believe there's some events.
LPGA play there.
LPGA
sure. And the
play
PGA Tour
there.
have, but I don't think they have for a while.
It's another Greg Norman, big Greg Norman week, obviously. So it's another Greg Norman golf course.
You know what Tiburon means?
I do actually happen to know what Tiburon means.
Can you tell us what it means, Luke?
Tiburon means shark in Spanish. Because, I guess it's because this golf course is in the Spanish Quarter of Naples, Florida or something.
Is that the Spanish Quarter?
Could that be it? I don't know.
Tip of the hat to the Spanish community from the shark there. Well done, Greg.
Yes, that's right.
So the format.
Should we call him the Great White Tiburon?
El Tiburon, we should call him.
El Tiburon. Okay, so
this is the Open
to Tiburon.
Okay, come on.
Okay, come on.
The format. This is a 3-day event, so it's one up on the Cathedral Invitational already. On the Friday, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The opening round is a scramble format. I should mention first of all, there's 16 teams of 2, 16 PGA players and 16 LPGA players, and obviously mixed teams. Scramble format for day 1, so Ambrose as we call it, and foursomes for day 2, or divorceums as we call it. Mixed foursomes format. And on the last day, it's a modified 4-ball format. Are you interested to know what the modification is, Jimmy?
Sure. Tell me about it.
Both players tee off, and in a twist on traditional 4-ball, in the modified format, they switch balls for their second shots and then play that ball to the end of the hole.
You jest, but I actually reckon that could be the most interesting format of the week.
I like
Cameron Champ
that.
Hitting it from 50 or 60 yards behind where he would normally be. And who's Cameron Champ's partner? Whoever that is, hitting it from 60 or 70 yards further up than they would normally be. That's actually going to be interesting to watch. And I know we kind of joke about this one, but it's about time. I don't know whether the formula's right, but I'm going to watch it this week. This is the most interesting tournament we've had this month. Most interesting, not the most important, but the most interesting. I'm really keen to see this. You've got a genuinely good field on both sides, and it'll be really interesting to watch how they do it. And in this format, I think, with the foursomes I'm less interested in, but that 4-ball and the scramble I think will be really good.
There's some interesting teams. There's a couple of Grant Thornton ambassadors, Nelly Corder and Tony Finau, sort of the headline team.
That is tough to beat.
Well, indeed.
Those two.
Another Grant Thornton ambassador, Ricky Fowler, is teamed up with Lexi Thompson. There's a Canadian team, Brooke Henderson and Corey Connors, a real Canadian power team there.
That's a flex, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a ball-striking duo I've ever seen.
You see some golf there.
In answer to your previous question, Rod, Cameron Champ is with Alison Corpuz.
Okay, US Open champ.
And a very interesting matchup of Leona Maguire and Lucas Glover. Dynamic duo there. That should be very interesting. That said, do we have any picks? Do you want me to go?
You can lead us off. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, I'm going with the Antipodean team of Lydia Ko and Jason Day.
Okay.
Nice. I think that's a very good team.
It's an interesting matchup. Neither has been particularly on their game.
All the more reason for them to take this silly season event seriously.
Seriously.
Well, Jason Day has become, again, the top-ranked Australian golfer this week.
He's done it quietly. I know.
Male golfer, I should say, sorry.
Yeah, I know that. He's done it quietly. He hasn't exactly been setting – he hasn't been the 21. Jason Day of 2016, has he? That's, I think, the point. 2015-16, which is kind of –
You haven't been the Rod Murray of 2016 either.
You're 100% right, Jimmy. You make a very compelling point. I'm going to go with the Canadians, Brooke Henderson and Corey Connors. Both quite likeable, both low-key and
Like it.
less obvious than some of the other teams.
I'm going to go with the English team of Charlie Hull and Justin Rose.
Yeah.
I like that this is actually, there's genuine teams that can win across the whole thing.
Kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely.
This, of course, replaces the old QBE Shark shootout or Tiburon shootout. Of course, the PGA Tour is not too interested to be involved with anymore, I can't imagine. So, but this is a better version. Like two PGA Tour players playing for a lot of cash. This makes it a bit more exciting. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I'm on board too. I am on board too. And this is the right time of year for it. And they've got, as I said, they've got the right names. I think it's going to be really interesting this week to watch.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Finally, the South African swing of the DP World Tour continues in earnest. And who better than Rod Morri to delve into the Alfred Dunhill Championship?
Almost anybody is the answer to that question, but we're stuck with me, so we're going to have to go with it. Alfred Dunhill Championship at Leopard Creek Country Club. Sponsor watch might be the most interesting thing about this. Alfred Dunhill boss, Johan Rupert, he's a South African billionaire, bit of a recluse, has given an enormous amount to golf. He sponsors this tournament. He owns the Leopard Creek golf course. He puts on the Dunhill Links Championship at St Andrews each year, the big pro-am. Has been the CEO or the chairman of the South African PGA, a real golf fan, a real great supporter of golf, and one of the game's most influential people that most people in golf probably haven't heard of. So,
Agreed.
Yeah, so look, as I said, he owns the course here at Leopard Creek, so this is kind of a personal tournament of his. It's a Gary Player design. It sits right next to the Kruger National Park, and if you've watched this tournament, and most of us, I imagine, have over the years at some point, it's fascinating to see just over the fence. Some of the you see giraffes and elephants. There's hippos in the water. It's really quite amazing. It's an incredible setting for a golf course. The golf course itself is nothing spectacular architecturally, though, as we see with most Gary Player designs, it'll be a decent test for the players. The scoring tends to be fairly low. Big rework in 2017, which sort of contained the scoring for a year or two, but we're back to where we were and used to be. Defending champion, I think this is one of the best names in golf. Ockie Stridham.
I tipped him last week.
Yeah.
I think his brother Tristan Stridham is in the field this week as well.
Is that right? I didn't even know he
Big
had a
week
brother.
for the Stridhams.
Big week for the
week
Stridhams. Ockie, what is Ockie short for? Have we got any thoughts on that? It just doesn't.
None at all.
No.
No. I've never heard the name. I'm going to have to look into the background of that. Maybe when we come back.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT while you're.
Yeah, good thing. Thanks for that.
Good thing.
So he's the defending the champion. Players to watch this week. No Australians in the field. I like Matteo Manacero. Something building there. 5th last week. He's clearly back, and it's great to see. He to me would be the best story this week if he was to get up and get it done. So I'm going to tip him. That's a little early one for a bit later on. Dean Burmester's on a tear. He's won both of the South African events the last 2 weeks, the Joburg Open and then the South African Open. Interestingly, 2 live players won the two of the oldest national championships last week, Joachim Neiman and Dean Burmester. So not a lot made about that, actually, Jimmy. Not as much as I thought might have been from some of the live aficionados on Twitter.
There was a little bit about it that was swinging around on social media and everything like that, but it didn't really do too much. I mean, Dean Burmester, when he won the week before, there was no major. The world didn't stop turning. So I think, we're in an interesting period there where there's no live events. Obviously, people get interested by it, but it didn't rate that much of a mention, to be honest.
Rollback, thankfully or otherwise, has also perhaps sucked a bit of the oxygen out of that particularly nasty discussion. We're going to shift it across to the ball being rolled back. Anyway, look, strong local field, always strong local fields in South Africa. And South Africans have great record in South Africa. Their tournaments are hard to win if you come from the outside. No idea who's going to win, but I'm going to tip Matteo because I think it'll be the best story. Tough week for Dean Burmester. So that triple would be an extraordinary thing to put off. We know Robert Allenby did it here in Australia in 2005, I think, won all 3 of our big events. But that's not easy to do. So, a couple of interesting storylines unfolding.
Dean Burmester was pretty crook last week as well. So it was a miracle he did 2 in a row. So I'd say you can discount the chances of 3.
Beware the wounded golfer, Jimmy. Beware the wounded golfer.
No. Loke?
Sure. The name Ockie, first of all, I know you're dying to know. According to ChatGPT, the name Ockie is typically a nickname or shortened form of the name Oscar.
Ah, there you go. Oscar and Tristan.
Yeah. It's 5 letters, and Oscar's also 5 letters.
Oscar?
Yeah. They're both 5 letters.
Yeah, but C and K are easier
work.
to write than S and C.
Good work, ChatGPT.
Thanks, ChatGPT.
Oki.
What
Oscar.
contribution.
They're both 2
Who's
syllables
tipping this
too.
week?
Yeah.
Both 2 syllables. Anyway, that was, that's put me right off Oki Stridham, whatever his name is. So Ewan Ferguson, I'm going to go with again. That's.
I thought he was on your list.
I'm giving him another shot.
He's got an end-of-year reprieve. Can we just back up for a minute? Why are you off Oki Stridham because ChatGPT gave you a rubbish answer? How's that his fault?
That is, yeah.
It's what's the point of an? It's got Oki. I guess has better mouthfeel than Oscar. It's sort of like a better alliteration there.
My name obviously
Sounding.
is actually James, and Jimmy is the same number of letters as well. So were you off me too?
Me, James. Takes longer to say.
Yeah, but one sounds like an adult. In your case. I suppose that's true of Oscar and Oki too, isn't it? You'd call a kid Oki, wouldn't you?
Well, ChatGPT does go on to say it is often used as a term of endearment or familiarity.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to tip Louis Oosthuizen because
he's done nothing for about 3 years, and it's about time.
It's about time. And, if live players are winning DP World Tour events, who better than him? That makes sense to me.
You can't have that golf swing and just not keep winning. It's just not possible. So,
no.
Cool.
He has to bob up occasionally. Now, that will do us.
ChatGPT says the name Lewis is not typically a shortened form of another name. Just what you might
that
want.
name is Louis.
I just checked.
Not Lewis.
Self-contained.
Thank you. Thank you
It can be shortened to Lou
for joining us for episode 43 of Playing from the Tips. Thanks for coming along for the ride, listeners. Rod, I'm guessing it's time for school and maybe a pop quiz today?
Yeah, school definitely. I've been learning how to do online quizzes. That's part of the curriculum.
Oh.
Curriculum. There's a word, isn't it? Yeah. Been learning how to create online quizzes and online feedback forms, all sorts of stuff.
Little Roddy is off to school.
Little Roddy off to school.
And I've actually made my cheese and tomato rolls ready to go. I've got 3 cheese and tomato rolls. Yep.
It's going to skip off to school. These little backpacks.
And I've put the tomato in a separate container so it doesn't make the bread soggy. So I'll put the tomato on when I get to school.
Who says you can't learn later in life? And Luke, what shade of beige jacket do you think you're going to run with this week? Have you got a particular?
I might go for a little bit more of a bold contrast today, I think.
Okay.
Why are you wearing a jacket? It's unfeasibly hot.
I'm not. People assume you're a somebody if you've got a jacket.
They really don't. They assume you're bonkers.
They really don't.
You're nuts. There's something wrong with you. You can't feel the heat.
That will officially do us at that moment. You can keep up to date on all these events and so much more on the Golf Australia magazine website, golfaustralia.com.au. And you can also get all the other podcasts of The Thing About Golf, which is now, again, an award winner.
And runner-up.
Rod and what's that?
Award winner and runner-up in the category.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. It's a dominant run. Unbelievable.
I was disappointed to lose to myself.
That's right. You can get all the back catalogue of The Thing About Golf on there where Rod and John Huggins sit down with names you've heard of and names you haven't in the world of golf and discuss what is the thing about golf. Thank you for listening, and we will be back next week on Playing from the Tips.